Good morning. I am very honored here to be representing the women from Peru. I want to thank FinDep for the opportunity I have to share about my authentic commitment and the permanent fight and journey in the favor of the sustainable development and gender equity, which I believe is a required condition for the economic growth and the social development of my country. On the other side, I am sad to say, but it is necessary to realize that my country, Peru, is one of the most violent countries against women, according to World Health Organization in its annual report 2016. Back in the 80s, when I graduated from university as an industrial engineer, which was not so common at that time, the overall situation in Peru was very hard. No future, no hope, due to the extreme violence we were living, very high unemployment, and extreme poverty, 60% of poverty. And that means that from every 10 Peruvians, 6 were poor, with no access to the basic services for human development. And women especially didn't have the opportunity to get an income, to get a job, so they could be able to bring up their families ahead. In these circumstances, I really wanted to make a difference for my country. And I dreamed of building a company through which I could contribute to change the reality of my country by generating dignified jobs that would reduce the poverty in a structural way, and also by breaking the vicious circle that was impacting millions of women and men. Women such as Vilma Amaya, who had no chance to get a job in order to lift her family out of poverty. So this is how in 1994, 25 years ago, I had the blessing and the opportunity to co-found a company together with my Peruvian and Danish partners. Ironically, at this starting point of our company, I faced women discrimination right in my face, in a tough way. I was rejected to be the CEO of our company by my own partners, just because I was a woman. They really believed that in a country like mine, I was not going to make it because of the strong discrimination against women. So what they did in the first board of directors is they appointed me to be the interim CEO. They put that in the first board of directors, interim CEO. So, because they really thought I was not going to last long. So what I experienced was not a glass ceiling. It was a cement ceiling. A cement ceiling that I needed to break in order to move on and to make my dream come true. So instead of crying or hiding under the desk, what I did was to decide not to be a victim and not to wait for somebody to give me the power to act and fight against the prejudices. Instead, what I did was to take the power, to empower myself, to take the power from my inner strength. So that is how I experienced this big hit for women discrimination. After 25 years, nowadays, after 25 years of being appointed interim CEO, I have proved very clearly that being a woman must not be, at any circumstance, a limitation to go ahead and be challenged, and of course to go ahead and get leading positions. That's what I have proved. And also, if I go backwards, I can see that the urgency I've always felt to change the reality of my country, supported with my strong values, such as the respect for the dignity of the people and the character I've developed throughout these experiences, definitely made that I could work in a very important and relevant challenge for me, which was to make out of Damper a vehicle for true sustainable development. That's what I wanted to do through my company, making a vehicle for true sustainable development that could impact the lives of thousands of women and men, such as Vilma. How did we do that? Establishing programs and services that will have a big impact in the lives of our people, their families, and communities. And we worked on 3 axes: health, education, and gender equity. And regarding gender equity, which is so important and relevant in a country like ours because of being so violent, we created a special program called Victoria. And through this program, we are impacting thousands of women and men, and also young people at schools, to change the behavior and transform mentalities so that we can eliminate the attitudes that incite discrimination and violence against women. So far, we have impacted 6,000 women and men, and we have already gotten 500 students at schools that are agents of change for this purpose. And just to finish, I want to say that from all the awards we have gotten, there is one that is very special. And that one is to see how our women have been creating better opportunities for themselves and their families through their dignified jobs, and how they have been able to access to health services within our health centers, how they've been able to conclude and finish their school studies within our own facilities, and especially how they've been able to be economically independent. In the case of Vilma, this woman, she is a mother of 2 kids, and single parent, like many other thousands and millions of women in Peru. And she's been able, through her job and her talent, to be economically independent. Now she's not a victim of domestic violence anymore. She lives with dignity. And Vilma has been able to provide her 2 kids with education. And through that, she is interrupting the transmission of poverty from one generation to the other. This is how, through our company, we are contributing in a positive way to impact in the lives of our women and men, and especially to empower women to come out of poverty and face life with dignity. And I can conclude that gender equity definitely increases our competitiveness and attracts and retains talent, and especially encourages social peace and progress by reducing the poverty and by creating better human capital for future generations. So thank you so much. And I want to say that gender equity definitely is a condition required for the economic growth and social development of our organizations and of our company. Thank you.